Hi, I want to talk about um, James Elkins' How to Use Your Eyes on the man-made side of things first, and I was pretty moved by his chapter on the cracks in paintings, and I read on to the chapter on the cracks in pavement because I felt that they were so closely connected. The main idea being that it's so important to grasp what's underneath an object to understand what an object actually is. And um, in my own work, I've been very focused on building up layers of paint or layers of forms, really. Um, I'm not as interested in texture in what I've been doing, but layers of forms, and doing that in such a way as to create a sense of depth through that kind of layering. And so I was naturally drawn to those chapters. I also spend a heck of a lot of time on the highway, just sitting in traffic in the Capitol Beltway in the DC area. It's just horrendous, and I I'm always staring at these patterns, the raveling that he described, and just the cracking and falling apart of the roads, the concrete medians that are right beside my face as I'm sitting there. I'm staring at these cracks, and I'll never look at them the same again, and that's really cool. Uh, but I also was intrigued by the idea of looking at these elements of art uh, without actually looking at the picture itself, because um, that to me it it dug around at the idea of painting being something personal and sort of this aging process of a work of art, um, revealing the specifics of what an artist did to an actual piece. And I thought that was very interesting too. Um, how different pieces were primed, whether they were done so carefully, whether paint was applied properly in the proper thickness of layers, etc. All those things were really interesting to me. I enjoyed that quite a lot. And then on his chapter about hieroglyphics, chapter 8, I thought that was really cool. Crazy stuff to read. The concept of images that were used not to denote the objects they normally represent, but the sounds or the intent of the picture that's shown. Also to denote an object, but always including an image that tells not simply what the object is by use of sounds denoted by certain images, but also what the object is doing. Um, I thought that was really interesting, and the way that a picture would be created with a mark to remind the reader that this is what this picture is supposed to be, and the whole image of that. And this really this struck me as well. What he wrote, saying essentially it's his opinion, or he favored this opinion of Gardner, um, that hieroglyphics virtually are painting, and that seemed to imply um, that there's a much closer connection to this kind of visual verbal communication that hieroglyphics seem to be in what we know as painting in the contemporary sense. And that's something that I I intend on thinking a lot about in the coming days and months. That really struck me, um, and I'm gonna keep rereading that chapter. I thought that was there was some profound stuff in there too. Um, so thanks for listening, and have a great week.